Welcome to this episode of Behind the Counter. This episode, we're going to be giving you a little rundown of some of our favorite comic books we've read over the last couple months.
Wow, comic books.
Yeah, I know. I'm on a comic book show, so stay tuned. Hey everyone, and welcome to this episode of Behind the Counter. I'm Mike Boroff.
I'm Richard Catterjohn.
Here it is, 2020, and we're kind of doing a little catch-up here, but we thought we'd give you a rundown of some of the favorite comic books that we've read in the past few weeks. Everyone's been talking about this great crisis, on TV, Catcher, our episode about it, but a lot of really great things have been happening in the comic books here lately, too.
Yeah.
One of the biggest, and I'm kind of surprised how under the radar it's been projected, but in the pages of Superman comic books, Clark Kent has revealed himself to the world as being Superman, and Superman being Clark Kent. And when I read about it a few months ago, that they were talking about it, I was like most of your, I'm not going to lie, like your toxic fan base. I'm like, that's just stupid. It's our marketing. Oh, sales are low.
Mike, toxic fan.
I'll still buy it. But the more I thought about it, I was looking forward to it. And when I picked it up, Action Comic Books and Superman, they handled it very well. They handled his reasoning for it. It wasn't some gimmicky kind of, if I don't reveal myself, people will die. It was...
You mean he didn't sit down eating a cheeseburger and said, I'm...
No, Superman came to the realization that, Superman has always been about truth, justice, and the American way. He felt hypocritical saying that he stood for truth when he'd been lying to so many people for so long. And it was a very well thought out thing. It wasn't like it was a spur of the moment thing. He discussed it with Lois.
Right.
They talked about how they were going to do it. Oh my God. It was one of the greatest moments in comic books for me. Is he had decided before he went public that he was going to tell his closest friends. And when he went to tell Jimmy Olsen, Jimmy Olsen completely blew it off. Like, it's a joke, blah, blah, blah. And he's like completely dismissive of it. And Superman's like, Lois told you already, didn't she? He's like, yeah, she told me about it earlier. I'm like, that was so good. And the way they pulled it off was so good. Because it was just like, she would do that. Another one of my favorite moments was when he told Perry White. And I say the word told because the way it was handled was brilliantly. It was one of those 9-panel, shot very dark, silhouette type, no words. You just saw the silhouette of Clark. You could see him take his glasses off. And then you see Perry stand up. Give me a minute. You see him stand up and hug Clark. You see, and I'm like, no words. And it was just like, I'm like, I was the first time in a long time. I was just like, yeah, I'm really digging it. I like the way that he there was the lady fire marshal that he mentioned to before, and she's like, are you sure you can trust me? He goes, you have 48 hours to prove it, because he was telling these people before he made the announcement publicly.
Yeah, because he wanted to make sure they knew what was going to happen.
Yeah, and it was handled very well, and he's gotten a lot of support for it. I liked, too, that somebody, I can't remember if it was Jimmy or somebody, or he had made the comment that he was afraid. One of his fears was that if he revealed himself publicly, it would make his friends and family a target.
Yeah, right.
And Perry White was like, you've been tied to the Daily Planet for years. That's not going to change. Us covering you and having the relationship that we've had has always put a target on our back. The relationship he's had with Lois and Jimmy being his best pal, and Superman was already close to these people, so it really wouldn't have changed that much.
And, the sun's into the future, so he's going to be gone most of the time, so...
Yeah. But the way they handled it was done very well. I liked the latest issue when it was like he got a day of peace. It was like he was prepared he was worried that, all the nutties were going to come out of the woodwork. But it's just like, maybe they're still in shock too. So I'm going to enjoy this day. And I got to say, at this point, now that Lois is, known forever, it's the idea.
You mean Lois knows? Oh.
Oh. And I think it was the most recent issue of Action Comic Books was one of the most real moments in comic book history, because it was Superman, Clark, Lois, and Jimmy and Perry in the office discussing the legalities. It's like, well, we hired Clark, but are you Clark? And the investors are saying this, so technically I have to fire you. But I'm going to hire you. It's like he had to legally fire the Clark that lied about being Superman.
The HR department of Superhero Universe.
But he turned right around and hired he goes, by the way, I have a job opening for you that just popped up. I'm hiring you. And it's like, when we publish your work, do we publish it under Clark Kent? Do we publish it under Superman? And you can no longer say that it was from a first person. You can't quote Superman as a source because you're...
See, I still think that the whole integrity of the paper would plummet.
Yes and no. I think in our world it would have, but I think in a world with Superman and already being so closely tied to
but that just is weird,
Just the fact that there's still a newspaper that big, just shows you that it's a comic book world.
Yeah.
But no, that was one of my favorite. I was very reluctant of it, and I hope they stick with it. I like the idea. Don't get me wrong, I will miss the Clark Kent dynamic, but it will be refreshing to see a Superman that doesn't have to be encumbered by his secret identity.
That makes me feel old, because remember during the 70s when he was working for WGN and he was a TV reporter? Because the planet was papers. It was all about TV,
Because wasn't it Cat Grant's the one that got him the job, and
something like that?
Yeah, like she stole him from the Daily Planet because she had left.
Something like that. Yeah, because there was a couple different interpretations of that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I digress, but that was just weird when you said about newspapers, and I go,
yeah.
I remember there was a time when they thought newspapers wasn't valuable anymore, and it still isn't. But
Richard, was there any books for you?
I loved we was talking about Crisis on our one other episode. There was a comic book version of Crisis, and it tied in with the TV series. It was a two-parter that they did in those 100-page giants.
Mm-hmm.
It was great.
It was great.
They brought Marv Wolfman back on board.
Yes.
He was he wrote it with somebody else. One of the writers from the TV series, right?
Yes. I
can't think of his name right off.
I know. I hate to say it like that, but was it the Italian sign, the Bertinelli?
I don't remember. But it tied directly in, and you got to see all these other little things that happened during the episodes and stuff.
Oh, yeah. You got to see... I don't know if they did it on purpose, which I wouldn't have doubted if they did, but I wonder if they did certain things in the TV show left to interpretation because they knew the comic book was going.
Yeah, I think they did.
It's like, look, we cannot dedicate yet a whole nother hour to explain this.
They
put it in the comic book.
Yeah. all the Luthers together was hilarious.
That was awesome. Definitely recommend it. If you were a fan of the show and the Crisis, you owe it to yourself to pick this up. It is a nice little bookend. It's like nice little filler for all the little.
And if you like the original Crisis from way back in the day, this is a supplement to that too.
Yes, it has a great time. Yeah,
it's got reprints and then it's got some reinterpretations. So.
Yeah. Another book that I really enjoyed is we have here Ghostbusters Year One. I had heard that it was going to be somewhat tied into the movie, but yet not. Year One was a great story. Year One is pretty much set during the first year of Ghostbusters, the movie.
Oh.
Everything that happens in this book happens shortly after the movie.
Oh, okay.
And it's great the way they did it. In the book, a woman is tasked with the job of writing the Ghostbusters biography. because this is at the height. This is just a few months after the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
Oh, okay.
So public interest is high. So she's going around in this issue right here. We get her interview of Winston Zeddemore, and we learn a lot about his history and how he joined the Ghostbusters, which was great because it was like, the woman interviewing him was like, well, how? He's like, I saw an ad in the paper. She's like, seriously, that's it. Then they comment on the interview, and she's like, seriously, the interview's like, that's it. And it was great. We got to see a little bit more of the history with Winston, his first reactions to his crew, Peter, Ray, and Egon. He describes them as the brains, the mouth, and the heart. We get to see his interpretation, his impression of everyone. This was a very good book.
So it's before the birthday parties.
This is way before the birthday parties. And from what I understand, the following issues are going to be interviews with Peter, Egon, and Ray.
Oh, okay.
But this was a great one. I love Winston. He really is, because I always related to Winston because he was a working class stiff. He was just a guy looking for a job. I'm not a parapsychologist. I don't have a degree in psychology. I never worked for college. I've done labor. I can relate to this guy right here. This was the Ghostbuster I could relate to, and this was a very good book, and it does straight up tie into the original the 80s movie.
84.
I almost said 5. I'm not gonna lie, but I did the math in my head real quick. Like, no, you were 4. 8, 7, 7, 8, 9, 8, 4. So, definitely a good one. One other comic book I would like to mention. It's not a new book. One of the things that's completely taken over everybody, the pop culture right now, is Netflix The Witcher.
Oh, yeah.
Which I'm so happy about. Dude, let me tell you real quick. Love The Witcher. Always have. Read the books. The books. Read the books. Read the comics. Played the game multiple times. I was scared about the show because this was my it's why I told my friends, this was my Harry Potter. I read the books. I know the books. Love the show. If you are a fan of the show, there are the books. I really recommend the books. But hey, guess what, kids? There's a buttload of comic books too. And right now, if you go to your comic book store, like we are in Lima, Ohio, at Alter Ego Comic Books, you can pick up the Witcher Omnibus, which at the time is the collection of all the Witcher comic books till this point. Wonderful book, great book. The comic books themselves follow the game more than they follow the books. So whereas the TV show follows the books, the comic book follows the video game.
Oh, okay.
So if you're a fan of both, you owe it to yourself to pick this one up. You can pick it up at your local comic book store, and if they don't have it, I'm sure they could order it. Rich, was there anything else you wanted to...
No, that's touched most stuff. I'm a little shy reading right at the moment. Wonder Woman was great, though. The new Wonder Woman book.
Oh, the 750?
Yeah. I like how they're going back to the original numbering and stuff.
Yeah.
It basically kicks off the new DC universe or something,
Yeah.
And, of course, they just redid it again in Justice League, but who knows?
Yeah. So that's what a few of the books amongst many that we've been gotten a chance to sit and read. We would love to know what you thought about these books, or if there's anything that you think that we might not have read, or would you like to talk about something that you think we might have read. Richard, where can they get a hold of us?
You can go to undergroundvideonetwork.com to find all our socials. So like, share, and keep watching.